Hi, everyone. With a question like this, where we're saying, here's a given equation. We have two unknowns in it. We have the k and we have the y. And they tell me that if is equal to -2 is one solution. We don't know if there's another, right? But they're just saying it's one solution that is possible. Now they're saying if k is a constant, what is the possible value of k? Knowing that y is equal to -2 is a solution. Okay. So what approach we can do is that there are multiple approaches, but what I'm going to do is simply plug in the y is equal to -2. When you approach questions like this, what you want to do is sub it in and see what you get, right? So you have 25 is equal to k multiplied by -2, -1, all squared. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this left side, and that's my right side. I'm not gonna try and prove any left side equal to right side, so please don't confuse that. I'm just identifying my left side, right side, right? I'm gonna leave the left side alone. And then I'm gonna say, you know what? So 25 stays the same. Then I'm gonna say, well, if I simplify what's inside, that's -2k minus 1. And remember, that's all squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, if I'm trying to find the value of k, we've seen something like this before with x, right? If it was x plus 1 all squared is all equal to, I don't know, 3. Well, what we needed to do is we needed to recognize that this is two brackets. This is saying I have x plus 1, but that's not all equal to 0, right? If it was all equal to 0, I can say, well, that bracket is equal to 0, that bracket is equal to 0, right? These would be my factors, and then I just find the roots by saying, you know what, x plus 1 equal to 0, solve for x, so bring this to the other side, x is equal to -1. I could have done that, right? But that's not 0. So then what did we need to do to this 3? Yeah, just like that. We needed to bring it to this side in order to make our left side equal to 0, or one of the sides equal to 0, so that we're factoring. Same idea over here. We're going to be doing the same thing, except we have k and not x. So we're going to open this up into two brackets. We're going to say -2k minus 1, all multiplied by -2k minus 1. We're going to expand those brackets, right? Because we want to simplify into a form that is useful, because again, we know that the left side is not 0. We need to simplify this in order to kind of bring this 25 to the other side and collect like terms with the constants. You'll see what I mean right now. So let's do that. What we're going to say is we're not doing that this step. We're going to say, you know what, that's equal to, if I were to expand like this by foiling or whatever term you've used, basically just multiplying our two brackets by one another. I have -2 multiplied by -2, that is +4k squared, minus, so -2 multiplied by -1, that is +2k, -1 multiplied by -2, that is +2k as well. And then -1 multiplied by -1, that is +1. So, I mean, what we could have done over here is we could have taken out the negative immediately, but that's okay. Doesn't matter if you don't want to do that. Doesn't change your solution. And then now we need to remember that there's a 25 over there. So I need to bring that over to the right side, because I want to make sure that I'm solving for a factor. I'm trying to solve for k. So I need to make one side equal to 0, right? Because I'm trying to find my factor. So then I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say 0 is equal to 4k all squared plus 2. I can actually simplify that, right? Collect like terms. Plus 4k, bring these two, and then plus 1, but minus 25, because we brought that 25 from the other side. And then I'm going to have over here 0. Now what's going on? I have 4k all squared plus 4k, and look at this, minus 24. Now I look at this and I'm saying, ooh, that's really nice, because 4 is a common factor, right? We said before that if there is a common factor, you need to always factor it out, okay? So if there's a common factor, we're going to say factor out. Always, always. Okay, well, most times, because sometimes you'll be doing grouping, but that's another situation. All right, let's do it. So we're taking out that 4. We're going to say 4 comes out. We're going to have k squared plus k minus 6. Now, I look at this and I'm saying, this is actually pretty simple because I need to find two numbers that multiply to give me -6, but add to give me 1. So then I'm going to be, so when I open my brackets, I'm just going to say, well, that's just equal to 4 stays outside. Remember, there's that 0 coming down with us. K plus 3, K minus 2, right? So positive 3, -2, and -6. Positive 3 added to -2 gives me positive 1, which is that 1 that sits in front of that K over there. Okay? All right. Now can I say what my factors of K, the Ks that make this possible are? Yeah, just like that, right? This 4 doesn't matter because if I make this bracket 0 and then I multiply the 4 by 0, it becomes 0. So it doesn't matter that 4 outside. We're going to say we're going to make K plus 3 equal to 0. Well, I can immediately see that that is just going to be K is equal to -3. And same idea over here, I'll have K is equal to positive 2. Now, let's have a look at this. So we're trying to say, what is a possible value of K? There are two possible values of K. We're doing an MCQ kind of question, so we're not trying to tell them both answers. We're trying to choose the correct answer. So over here, they're saying, what are possible values of K? Well, clearly it's not any of these because we already have that the two possible values of K are going to be -3 and positive 2. Okay? All right, so a recap really quickly. When we have a type of question like this, our steps will be anytime you have something that is given, kind of like this is known, y is equal to -2. Anytime you know something like that, plug it in, okay? So we're going to say step 1 is to sub in a given value of y. In this case, it's a y. If it's another situation, you'll just sub in whatever that variable is. Okay. Set up, the second step was to set it up as a quadratic equal to 0. Now, why did we want to make it equal to 0, right? So once we were at this step over here, and I'm going to call this step kind of star, this is when we had this situation. We were like, oh, okay, so I plugged it in, and then I'm like, question mark, what do I do? Well, I needed to make it equal to 0, so I did these steps over here where I expanded, so we expand when possible, when needed, let's say when needed, because in this case, we needed to expand, right? To collect like terms that 25 sitting out there, because we needed it to be equal to 0, like terms. Okay. So set the quadratic equal to 0, then factor, big part, we need to factor and solve for unknown. Okay. All right. So that sums up this kind of question. I hope that helped, and I hope I'll see you next video. Bye, everyone.